Yes, 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 yes. Come on, people, let's go. Smash the like on the video, the Don in the building. I'm telling you, it's all about this Euro 2024, which has been successful, magic, massive, beautiful. I'm telling you, I really enjoy myself. Today, we are looking at the road to the finals. I'm telling you about these two great teams. Who are these two countries? England versus Spain in the finals, Euro 2024. I'm not always here alone. We want to dissect out all these things came into existence. I'm talking about being in the final, which is magical, which is sensible, which is beautiful. I'm sure all my crew, they all enjoy the Euro 2024. Please smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel. What are you waiting for? Let me bring on this great man. Mark, are you ready for me? Mark is all the way from Canada. He's ready to rare. Mark, you're joining us on this show. Euro 2024, the finals. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. In almost football in Euro 2024 up to the final stage, and it's an exciting. Have done very well. Some have performed beyond our expectations. Some have not, and some have been taken us by surprise. And so it's the steady plan. It's going to be a crack.
All right, it's going to be a cracker. I'm struggling to hear you so well from my end. I'm really struggling to hear from. All right, let me move on by welcoming this great man. Prof, can you hear me loud and clear, Prof?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, you can hear me loud and clear. That's beautiful. You're welcome to the show, Euro 2024, the road to the finals.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Don, Big Mac. Just to be here after a while. You know, we've had a fantastic of drama. You know, full of very intriguing. Some big teams have underperformed. While some, to be honest, we can say most of the big teams have underperformed in terms of. So, you know, we've had some very, very some surprising performances from the likes of Georgia, you know, Turkey, you know, teams like that have, you know, lit up the competition. We've had underwhelming performances from the likes of France, England, and you know, Italy, and you know, and some of these countries, they've really not performed up to expectation. But we're here now. We now know the two teams that has made it to the final, which is the Spanish team, who have really you know, lit up this competition, and
massive.
The English team.
Yes. All right, welcome you once again, Prof, to the show. I'm bringing on this great man. Please smash the like on the video for him. Jeffers joining us on today's show. Jeffers, what's going on? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. I think this tournament has basically described that famous quote that says that it's not over until it's over. 24 teams started, 22 have gone out, and now we're down to the final 2. Well, people say one of them is not the type of team you wanted to see in the final. But one thing I've learned over time in football generally is the fact that sometimes you don't need to play well to get the job done. And I guess that's what England has done so far. And here we are seeing them at the final.
Can you imagine?
Again 3 years after the last one that happened at Wembley. Here they are in their first final at a foreign soil. And I think we can say you don't rule them out because they can actually go all the way to win it.
They can actually go all the way to win it. Let's talk about the road to the finals. Let me tell you something. This is the group stage. Let's talk about the group stage in general. I lost Mark there. Mark is still coming back to join me. Mark, let's talk about this group stage, Mark. This group stage. Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, Group E, Group F. But we are looking at the two teams we are talking about tonight. That is Spain and England. Let's look at this Group B, Mark. Comprises of Spain, Italy, Croatia, Albania. And we could see clearly that Spain won all the 3 matches. Talk to me, Mark, in that group. What do you feel about that group?
Yeah, for me personally, I looked at that group very critically before the tournament began, and I thought that it's one of the most difficult groups because Spain, Italy, and Croatia are well-known footballing nations. Albania were only the dark horses, and I think this is like their second time out at the Euros. So it was nice to see that there will be three great teams start playing in this group. The only problem is who will finish the first two and who will lose out, or probably be a third place qualifier. And in the end, the Italians, they flattered to deceive. They are the defending champions, but they didn't come to the party. They didn't start the tournament well, and their overall play was shambolic. Their performance was not the stuff of champions, the stuff of defending champions. And so Spain, on the other hand, they recorded an emphatic 3-0 win over Croatia. They stepped out on that, and they beat the Italians. And in the last game, they beat the Albanians, which meant they won all their three games. And I don't think they considered an open goal until later in the competition. And so it was a statement of intent from them that they have not come to watch the bridges of Berlin and all the other German cities. They really meant business, and that is why they are in the final. So Spain did very well. The Italians did not do too well, and it was not a surprise that they went out early at the knockout stage. The Croatians were totally very, very bad. They were very poor all round, and it wasn't a surprise that they didn't go that far.
All right, let's switch on to England. I'm going to call on you, Jeff. Jeff has talked to me about this English team. I think they are in Group C with Denmark, Slovenia, Serbia. But I would like to ask you, Jeff, as people have been saying England had easy ride. Do you agree with this group? Let me.
If you ask me, I don't really think so. If you ask me, because let's look at each team critically in that group.
Yeah,
the Danish side are known to be a very, very good side. They have this ability of always controlling games, and they play the pattern of football according to their own pattern. So basically, they're forcing you to play their own pattern and their own formation. Absolutely. Then when you look at Serbia, one thing Serbia has got is their defenders are very, very, very tall. So definitely playing up balls into the Serbian defense is not going to work. They're going to neutralize everything. So you need to put it on the ground, and you need to be very, very tactical and technical in getting the results against them. Then when you come down to Slovakia are dark horses.
Yeah.
You never know which side is going to turn up. So I think basically England only had one game plan for the whole tournament, and that was take each game as it comes. If you looked at the first game against Serbia, the Serbian formation made it difficult for England to penetrate. And when you look at the fact that England already playing with a deficit at the back, and that's the fact that there was no natural left back, it became a problem for them to launch balls right into the Serbian defense. So they had to now go back to the midfield, start to create from the midfield, and try and see if they could find a way to get in. In fact, the only goal in that game actually came from that very opportunity of Karasaka going to the flanks and actually sending a pull-out that no one expected Belia would get it. So I think it summarized the game for them. They had to go deep. They had to stay in shape because the Serbians were coming out with a pattern of a counter-attack. And if that counter-attack goes in, you look at Serbia's front three. You have two of the deadliest strikers you can get in world football playing for the Serbian team. You're talking about Dusan Vlahovic and Mitrovic. These are strikers who are waiting to take any chance when it comes to them. And actually, they almost did it on that game. But the resilience of the English defense was actually what kept them able to balance up and neutralize all attacks on the Serbian guys. Now, the second game against Denmark, it was also a difficult game because at this point, Denmark had a draw in the first game. England had a win. England knew that they needed a win to confirm their position as group winners in the next round. But the Danish were coming out for a win to get the same result. So at a point, they had to balance themselves out. And if you notice one thing, that game was basically over in the first half. Once England scored and Denmark equalized. In the second half, both sides said that rather than make a mistake and concede a goal where you cannot get back from, let's just keep it simple. And that was what they did to the end of the game. Now, when it came to the third game, England's game against Slovakia, um, that game basically was a game I expected to see more from Gareth Southgate's side. I actually expected the formation change, but there's this famous saying that says that why change something that actually works for you? Just keep on going with it. And it still went basically for them. But we could tell that there were frailties they were facing in that side. And at a point, I was actually suggesting, and I actually voiced it out, that the only thing that might work for this English side is this. I think Southgate might have to change his formation and change his pattern, because what I was saying was something. I was saying that Kane was not 100% fit. He still isn't 100% fit. He's
Till
just
now.
basically pushing. He's just basically pushing it. But I think the major reason why he's starting is, one, he's the talisman of the team, and two, we know what Harry Kane can do in a good day. So I think what I expected was, Kane has this ability to play from the midfield. Why not use another forward who just stays right there in front of the defenders? Then you play Kane behind him. That's a 4-4-2 formation. Would have worked. I hope he does that against Spain, because he might have to do it to combat that Spanish side. Because as far as I'm concerned, and the way I see it, I think Spain hasn't. The only scare Spain has had in this tournament so far was actually against Germany. France didn't lay a glove on them. I'll be honest with you. France did not. France, from the beginning of the tournament till when they got knocked out, they didn't play anything, and it actually showed. So I think if they actually put a lot of pressure on that Spanish side, they may actually go through. Because so far, one thing about Spanish teams is they always are good in attack and in midfield, but the defense line is where the major concern is. And I think if he does that, we could see that from that game against Slovakia actually, that he was finding it hard to break it down. So what he just decided to do was just stay simple and stay back, and it gave them a draw. And I think that draw was just enough for them to actually go to the next round. And it favored them because of the fact that they were able to avoid the big sides. They were on the other side of the draw, thereby avoiding all the big sides that would have really caused some major damage to them. And I think that's what has actually worked for them so far in the tournament.
All right, so moving on. Yeah.
So I would say, based on the qualifiers, I would say on the group stage, I'll give the English side a 60% performance.
Fantastic. All right, moving on to the round of 16. No doubt about it. Round of 16. We are still talking about these two countries, Spain and England. At this moment, let's look at the round of 16. Rounds of 16, we're looking at England played against Slovakia, while Spain play against Georgia. And Prof, can you hear me loud and clear, Prof? That game in round of 16, game against England versus Slovakia. What do you think about that game?
Yeah, about England versus Slovenia, you mean?
Yes.
It was a very versus Slovakia, the round of 16.
Yes.
It was a very poor game from the English point of view. I listened to what
Jeffers
said. For me, I think he's doing them a great. I think he's being too kind with England, to be honest, because this is the 5th best team. I mean, I'm talking about the world rankings. England, I think they're number 5. So when they come into a competition like this, ranked 5th, and then with the kind of quality that they have, let's not forget that they have top players. These are players that have, torn their leagues apart. Bellingham did that in Spain, won the league and Champions League with Madrid. You have Phil Foden, who won the Premier League title and was the best player in the Premier League. You have Declan Rice, who pushed them. Who pushed for it. You have Palmer. You have Oli Watkins, who was one of the highest goal scorers. Look, the talent and the quality in that English team was criminally underused by Gareth Southgate. Honestly, I got away with it because of that quality. If you look at how England got so far, is moments. They did it in moments. If not the moment from Bellingham, it was the overhead kick by Bellingham. It was the Bukayo Saka solo goal. There was nothing tactical about the way Gareth Southgate approached that game. The only thing I'll give him credit for was maybe the defensive setup, because going into the tournament, you would expect that the England's Achilles heel would have been the defense, because we thought they were short there. We didn't know what sort of performances we would get from Maguire, the Crystal Palace centre back. We knew what John Stones could offer, but they were without his trusted man in Harry Maguire. So we were not sure about what the defense would be. We knew what the attack could offer, but because of what they done, they are close. But we weren't sure about the defense. But so that I'll give him credit. They brought in Maguire into the team, yeah, and they sort of kept it a little bit tight at the back, which helped them go further in this tournament. And then the attack, the quality in attack was always going to come into play, which was what happened. And also, I would say the side of the draw that they were in, for me, is the side that was an easier. I don't think they would have survived the other side of the draw, where we had the Germanys and the Spains and the Frances of this world. I think where they are the best team there, and it was only just normal and natural that they got this far. I think the Spain final will be the major test for me, to go to Georgia. Yeah, so the game, to the round of 16 against Slovakia, there was nothing too much that happened in the game. The Slovakians took the lead at the 25th minute. England, they've just been stinking up the place, to be honest. He didn't know what formation to start in the midfield. At first, he started with Trent Alexander-Arnold in there. He took Alexander-Arnold out, brought in Conor Gallagher. It didn't work. Until he stumbled on the formation of Rice, Maino and William, and that's obviously Maino steadied the ship for him at the middle of the pack. And since then, they were sort of grinding out results. So yeah, they went down in 25th minute, and then I think that was the match that William did the overhead kick at the 95th minute, when they were seconds away from being knocked out of the competition by Slovakia. That's the tiny margins that Gaitaga survived. And of course, Hurricane, in 91 minutes from a head assist by Ivan Toney, nodded the ball into the net and took them into the quarterfinal. So that was how they got past round of 16. But for me, there was never a great performance by the English team in this competition.
All right, moving on to this one, Spain versus Georgia. Mark, can you hear me loud and clear about this one, Spain, Georgia?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. The Spain-Georgia match was something of a David versus Goliath match. Yeah, because Spain they were fantastic throughout the group B stages, and Georgia, this is their first tournament. They are the only debutants of this edition, and their first and second game, you could see that they had that verve. They wanted to show their mettle. They wanted to prove themselves to the world. And then the unthinkable happened. They beat former champions Portugal. And from then, people were now looking at them like, oh, these guys are actually serious about what they came to Germany to do. And the luck of the draw put them against Spain, who are outstanding favorites for this competition. And when the game started, they scored first, and everybody was like, "Oh, there is an upturn on the cards. There's going to be a surprise. A giant is going to fall today." But then Spain came back and showed who they really were. They showed their stuff, and then they scored 4 goals, and then they whitewashed the Georgians. So the Georgians did not leave this competition disgraced. They actually proved the point. Being debutants, their first major tournament, they got 3 points against a former champion in Portugal, and then they had Spain against their backs against the wall for the first 15-20 minutes of that game. So they were not disgraced, and I'm sure that when they come around again, they are going to do awesome. For Spain, it's not been a very good ride for them too, because even though they've been winning, they had to grind out their wins. There was a time they were behind, they had to come back, they had to fight, but they have very good attackers. They have players who can change the course of a game in the twinkle of an eye, and that has been working for them, and that's why they are in the final.
All right, that's why they are in the final. We are switching on to this one, the quarterfinals, Euro 2024. This is a special moment, and let's see how these two countries strive in those games. I'm talking about Spain and also England. First of all, let's talk about the game against Germany. Spain won 2-1. Jeffers, that game, for me, I love that game. Let me put it that way. Jeffers, do you agree with me? Spain coming from behind, I guess, to win. No,
I'll
Spain
say
scored first. I think Spain
yes,
scored
they
first.
scored first.
Germany
Yeah,
equalized,
Germany equalized. Then
and
Spain won it right at the nick
next.
of extra time.
All
Yeah,
right, talk to me about that game.
I think so far, that game basically was one game that I called and said, this game, whoever wins this game might actually go all the way down to the final. And so far, I've not been proven wrong. It actually played out. I think that game is one game I think Germany had it. I would say they had it, but they let it slip right at the end because there was a point whereby, I always say one thing: how to understand the team's performance very well is when you watch what happens when they're in a tight situation.
Yeah.
After Spain took the lead in that game and Germany equalized, in the second half of the game, I noticed one thing. The Germans had the Spanish side all camped out. They had already neutralized the attack. And what the Spanish coach did was to take out the major source of attack in that game, which was both Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal. At that point, the change I expected from Julian Nagelsmann was to bring in Fulcrum, because so far you've been able to get through while playing Kai Havertz as a false nine.
False nine,
and
yeah.
You've just been managing to get your way, because one thing with this, as gifted as Havertz is, we all know his frailties. Havertz is not one person you can actually trust to actually get the job done in attack, because as many chances he will create, he will also miss them as well too. He's not going to give you that. Conversion ratio is a bit under susceptibility. So what he expected to do was, at that point, that was the perfect time to bring in Fulkrug, because Fulkrug was more direct and more. Havertz is more or less the physical type. Fulkrug is the one who goes direct to finish. But he left that chain too late. And at that point, it was as if he was preparing for shootouts. If there's one thing we've noticed with the English side so far in this tournament, is the fact that England's goals have majorly come at the death. When you think the game is over, they strike. Are we talking about the Bellingham goal, whereby they took just 2 minutes in between full time and extra time to change this whole storyline of the game against Slovenia? Slovakia actually. They took just the 9 minutes of full time and the first minute of extra time, and they changed that game. Now you had the chance to finish that game, but it's as if he was preparing for penalty shooters, because he wasn't too sure they will get the job done in extra time. And right at the moment where everyone was actually thinking, okay, this game was going to go into penalty shootouts, the Spanish side scored. And I think this is one lesson he's going to actually take while preparing the German side for the 2026 World Cup. Well, fine. First of all, I think the things we need to point out for the German side to actually start working on right now, and I think Julian Nagelsmann will take that as the top consideration, is the fact that, one, he needs to start looking for a new striker. He needs to get a 9 that can finish. Havertz is good, but he's not a 9. Havertz will be better used.
I'm sure Prof has something to say about that too.
You better use right behind the 9, or you play him from the 7. That's what's going to work. But as a 9, if you're playing him as a 9, you should know the fact that he's going to miss chances. Are you willing to risk that by creating more? And the person, basically, a 9 has only one job in football, and that's to score goals. But when you have someone who will not be able to score every time he gets the ball, you need to start thinking of a second option of looking for a more direct pattern. That's one. 2, let's come down to midfield. Toni Kroos has always been described as the heart and soul of the German midfield. Now you're having a player, that role is now open because he has retired officially. Another person who has also retired is Thomas Müller. These are 2 players who can change a game just by snapping their fingers. But we've noticed, for at least since the 2018 World Cup, we've noticed that this guy has been going out of form and out of shape, and that is Thomas Müller. So we were expecting it that he was going to get to a point where he's going to retire from the team. Cruz had already given us the signs that he was actually stepping out, and he decided to step out at the perfect time. So I think second task, Nagelsmann needs to start looking for attacking midfielders that can create that perfect pass to break the defensive shape of any other side with just a pass. And I think he has to start looking at them right now, because I believe that that's the place that the Germans need to work on. The Germans are known to be very efficient when it comes to midfield play. Now you're losing two of your generals. You need to replace those roles immediately. So I think so far in that game, Spain that was the only point whereby Spain went off structure, taking out Yamal and Williams at the same time. There was no other alternative for them at that place. And I think if they face the English side in the final and those two guys are actually taken out, Spain has a problem.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me, Prof, about this game, England versus Switzerland. That game went to extra time, and also I was went to the penalty shootout. Prof, that game I was thinking anything can happen. Talk to me about that game, Prof.
I mean, as usual, England, they came again with another, for me, not so good performance. I think they were a little bit better in this game. But they took the lead. The Swiss took the lead from Ondoye, from Brandon Bolo, sorry, at the 75th minute, and then it looked as if it was another match that England would go out, and then up stepped Bukayo Saka at the 80th minute, with that goal to bring them back into the game, and from there, they played out a stalemate in extra time. Kudos to Gareth Southgate for making some changes. Brought in Ivan Toney for Kane, who we know is a good penalty taker. He's almost spotless from the spot. Harry Kane was knackered in that game. And then he also brought in Trent Alexander-Arnold at the 115th minute, for penalties. So it was just an underwhelming performance as usual, because you would expect that England, with the sort of quality that they have, like I said before, they would be dispatching teams like the Swiss in 120 minutes, but that wasn't the case. The Swiss, on the other hand, they had a fantastic performance going into that a fantastic tournament. Sorry, going into that game, Mbolo, likes of Fabian Shah, they've been doing very well. Granit Xhaka and controlling the midfield. And so they arrived at that game, and then it was a stalemate. But when it got to penalties, for one, I knew that the England team have very quality penalty takers. Cole Palmer stepped up; he was the first penalty taker.
They scored all of them scored the penalties.
Manuel Akanji was the one who missed. It was a poor penalty by standards. Manuel Akanji, Pickford, who later we saw on his water bottle, had a brief of where the Swiss players usually play their penalties to. So maybe that was a good homework by the English coaching staff for doing that. So yeah, the English very fantastic penalties from the English players: Bellingham, Palmer, Saka, Toney, and Trent with the last one to send them to the semi-finals.
Yes.
I think one other thing that was actually very significant in that shootout was the fact that, basically you see when it comes to penalty shootouts, you see the keepers always tend to have a sheet on where each player is going to move. But when it got to England's case, if you notice that paper, it was actually printed and laminated on the bottom, which means that they had done their study. And if you notice one thing, if you follow the shootout, every single spot kick, based on how it was arranged on that bottle and the position it would take, it went exactly as it was put. The only one that wasn't that way was Fabian Schär's own, and because of the fact that at the very last minute, Schär decided to change the direction at the last minute. That was it. Apart from that, I think we can see obviously from the last two tournaments and few tournaments that England has been in now, that when it comes to penalty shootouts, they are now ready compared to before.
Yeah, I think gone are the days when penalties used to be termed just a game of luck. I think it's a I think it's not okay anymore. A lot of work is being put into penalties. It's now a skill. If you look at the likes of Palmer, Ivan Toney, who doesn't even look at the ball. Ivan Toney doesn't look at the ball when he's taking it. He looks directly at the goalkeeper, and then look, the keeper at that moment doesn't know what to do because he takes a step back and it just slots it in with pace, and then keeper cannot even move. So there's a lot of skill going on into it. It's no more a lottery. They call it the penalty lot. It's no more a lottery now. I think I can tell you for sure that the English players ahead of the Sunday showdown will be practicing penalties as well, because it could go all the way to penalties. So it's now something to practice and to learn and to be very good at, because these penalties can win you tournaments now.
All right, so let's move on to the last one. I'm talking about the semi-finals. The semi-finals was magic. Let's go straight into that. Mark, France versus Spain. That's another. I don't know how to describe that. Mark, talk to me about that game. What do you feel about that?
It was one semi-final where a 16-year-old decided to make a difference. Before the game, the French player Adrien Rabiot was talking about how Lamine Yamal is overhyped and how he will have to do a lot more for him to reach the level of greatness that people are ascribing to him, and that he hasn't really done much up to that point. And the young man took it as a challenge. And of course, it was France that drew the first blood, because Randall Kolo Muani scored in the 9th minute from a Kylian Mbappe assist. Kylian Mbappe, by the way, this has not been his tournament. He has only had one goal, a penalty, and he has played. This is his second Euros, and it's not just working for him. Anyway, back to Yamal. So Yamal decided to make a statement in this match as a 16-year-old, and in the 21st minute, he scored a wonderful goal. He had Saliba and the same man, Rabiot, in front of him. He danced his way in front of them, and he hung the ball on the right post, and it went in off the post, and it was 1-1 Spain. And not too long after that, I think 4 minutes after that, he was also involved in the move that led to an own goal, which was actually ascribed to Dani Olmo. And so it was all that Spain needed, and they held on to that lead, and they actually qualified for the final. So this is the last time that we are seeing Lamine Yamal as a 16-year-old, because on Saturday he's going to be 17, and a day after that he's going to play the final. So he has actually made a name for himself. He's the youngest. Yes, he's the youngest player to play in a major football tournament semi-final, and I think he's also going to do that in the final. Thanks.
All right. That's all about. I mean, this guy is going to be phenomenal. Just watch out for this great man, Yamal. And Prof, Netherlands versus England. What do you think about that game before we wrap up the show?
Well, it was a good game. It was a good game, but I was disappointed with the referee.
That's where I want us to. I mean, shed more light on. Was it a penalty?
I mean, for me, never in a million years, it would never be a penalty.
Jeffers, also, do you agree with that? Was it a penalty, Jeffers? Hold on, let me. Was it a penalty?
For me, I wouldn't say it was clearly, but I think what the referee looked at was the fact that, as at the time before the ball came, we could already see the position of the defender's boot. The studs were already showing. So it will be termed as rough play, basically. It was going to be termed as a foul. And consider that it was right in the 18. Well, it's a penalty.
I mean, Harry Kane had shot the ball. This Denzel Dumfries' studs were showing, but he went to his studs to block the ball, and then Harry Kane's foot now hit his studs. He didn't go to hit Harry Kane's foot.
Okay.
Yeah, Harry Kane hit the ball, and so for me, is like Mark just said, it's the softest penalty in such a huge moment for these decisions at the end of the day turn out to be pivotal in the way the game ends. The Netherlands, this decision, because if they don't give that penalty, who knows? The Netherlands maybe they could hold on to the second half, and then the game changes. The manager's plan changes, the substitution changes. A decision like that, people don't know how huge it can be. it changes the whole plan of the manager and how he wants to approach the game. So for me, and that's a referee that had a question mark on his head. Let's not forget, he was banned 6 months for allegedly match fixing that referee. And I'm not saying he did that yesterday, but I'm saying that decision on his own. And I'm happy that some of the English pundits have come out to condemn it. According to them, it was a disgraceful. According to Gary Neville and Jimmy Carragher, it was a disgrace of a decision. And I applaud them for coming out to be honest about it, because you would never ever see that given in the Premier League, most especially. So for me, that was the moment, that was the game changer for the Netherlands. And you look, the English players, the English fans also might turn around and say they are due some luck, which is true, because remember the 2006 is the World Cup, the Frank Lampard goal that brought about the advent of goal line technology.
Goal line technology.
So they've been unlucky, the Maradona handball and that. So they've been unlucky in huge tournaments as well. So maybe it's their time to get their slice of luck. So that's how I'll see it. But it was a terrible decision by the referee.
All right. This is how far we can go tonight. Tomorrow we'll be on live for the preview of the game. Mark, you're saying something about, was it a soft penalty? Was it a good penalty? What's your take on
that? For me, it's a soft penalty, and it's something that.
Well, is there anything soft? Is there anything called soft penalty?
Okay, yes.
There is a soft penalty.
A soft penalty is a penalty that is not won on the face of it. It's not hard fought. It's not won on the merits. It's like you get into the 18-yard box and you just suddenly collapse, you fall, and the referee says penalty. We have to see that there is collision, that there is malicious intent on the part of the opposing player to cause you harm or to do something that breaks the law before the majority of people or spectators will agree that this is a penalty. So what happened was that when the Netherlands scored their first goal by Xavi Simons, there was a seeming foul that led up to that. I think it was Declan Rice, if I'm correct, that was involved in that.
That was involved in that foul.
So he was involved in the foul, and then the young man took the shot, and it went into the net, and it was difficult for the referee to say no, this is not a goal, because it looked like a legitimate tackle.
Mark, it was legitimate tackle, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yes, to me, it's a legitimate tackle, but because the English players and the bench, they made a lot of noise about it, that chance now came for the referee to say, okay, let me do something that will put this game on a level playing field and everybody will be happy. So when that corner kick, I think it was a corner kick that came, Denzel Dumfries was within his right to try and block the opposing striker, which is Harry Kane, from trying to score. And so raising his leg to stop that ball was within the letters of the law. It was not wrong at all. It was just that Harry Kane, in his attempt to play the ball at half volley, had to collide with the underside of his boot, and then the referee saw his advantage to say, okay, let me do something that will make these guys get off my back, because if they lose, then it will be like I am the one that caused their misfortune. So he did that. They had their goal, and it was level. So anybody who now scores, well, it's up to you. And then it went to England. So like Prof said, in every competition, there are sometimes you get undue, unmerited favor. Some favor that will come your way and that will favor you on the day. Maybe it was England's turn, maybe it wasn't. But if we have to look at it from the letters of the law, from the game of football, that was a soft penalty.
That was a soft penalty. I want to say.
I think basically that penalty kind of overshadowed what was a very, very great game, because I think for the first time in the tournament so far, we saw an English side that actually played like the England side that we know them to be. They were all attacking. At a point in that game, the Netherlands had no answer to what they were facing. And I think Gareth Southgate has to really look. This is squeaky bomb time for Gareth Southgate. That final is going to be a perfect way to actually do that.
Jeffers,
but we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. But I think the game was okay. So I think, England deserved to win the game, and they're in the final already.
All right.
Congratulations to them.
All right. I want to say a big shout out to you, Jeffers, for joining us on ISCV. Thank you so much for joining us, Jeffers. One love, bro.
All right.
All right, Prof. It is what it is, Prof. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Mark. Wonderful, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us on this one. Hope to see you tomorrow for the review of this final. Thank you so much, Mark. One love, bro.
You're welcome. Thanks.
All right, people, smash the like on the video. This is how far we can go tonight. Smash the like and subscribe to our channel. Put on your notification button right about the corner there. Put it on so that you know when anytime we drop a content, you go and watch it. I want to say a big shout out to everybody. Once again, tomorrow is going to be magic. Tomorrow is going to be massive on this channel. On the same time tomorrow, I want to say thank you once again. Bye for now.